Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Seed Infotech, and we would be starting our first session for the free web series of effective proposal writing. Along with me, we have Mr. Dilip Ponde, sir. He would be taking this webinar series and also some of the trainings which we have planned in the month of May. So, over to Dilip, sir, and also we'll be moving towards the overall session details.
Good afternoon, everybody. And first of all, thanks for you taking out your time on Friday afternoon. I'm aware that Friday afternoon is something different, but your investment in the time, we promise you that we will make our best to get best returns on your investment in time. Uh, Normally, I would like to start this question with a question which has an obvious answer, that those who have joined, how much of you would like to get promoted? Now, it's a silly question. Everybody, each one of you will be very happy to get promoted. And our webinar series is actually designed for for the both for the organization win. In a sense, the organization should get more business, the top line improvement, the bottom line improvement, and the contribution margin improvement, as well as an individual, each one of you should look after your promotions, your career plan, and last but very important, your work-life balance. Now, how does this particular series is connected with that is what today's subject is. So I'm going to start this entire series with today's subject called as Project Success Foundation, and I'll explain how a proposal, effective proposal, addresses both the organization objectives and individual wins. Then next webinar, we will cover what we call as 7 proposal writing sins. Essentially the major drawbacks, the major problems that people normally create while writing the proposals. And it helps us in understanding what not to do, where we go wrong, how our proposal becomes non-persuasive and therefore start diminishing its chances of success. So that is the topic of the next webinar, 7 proposal writing sins. And the last, we will cover art and science of persuasion. Having noted all the problem and knowing what our goals and objectives are, can we achieve this? Does this appear to be too much? Just by means of effective proposal is what I would like to cover with down the line in the subject called as art and science of persuasion. And with that a little bit introduction, let me state that a effective proposal, what it is. I mean, most of you know that good proposal does not guarantee success. Uh, the proposal is your ambassador, agreed. However, the proposal along with the defense that you have, proposal defense that you do, that means the way you present it, the negotiations that happen, your account relationship, all of them play a very important role in final winning the game. However, please note that while the good proposal do not guarantee the success, it is equally to correct that a bad proposal ensures failure. And towards that, this effective proposal writing skill is very important. I think the recent survey that has been done by NASDAQ, NSDC, tells that the project managers, delivery managers, solution architects, when they were surveyed for their proposal writing skill, there is a lot of gap between what is expected versus what people do have a skills. And towards that, our aim is to start this proposal writing skill series, and we will definitely follow with that with the intensive workshops. But to begin with, this webinar series will introduce you this topic. Now, before I really jump into the actual presentation, let me first state some of the administrative aspects. Roughly around 40 to 45 minutes, I will cover the presentation. All of you are on mute mode. That means you cannot speak, but you can use your chat box to pose your questions. And in the end, around 15 to 20 minutes, I will try to answer most of those questions. Some of them will be individual queries, and we request you to write us by mail, and we promise you will come back to you. So with that small little administrative clearance, let us jump into the actual presentation. Before we start the presentation, uh, yeah, one more thing that I missed. The dates of the webinar series. The first one, the Project Success Foundation. This is just now, 21st April. 7 proposal writing skill. It is next Friday, 28th April. And the Art and Science Persuasion is 5th May. And then followed with that, we have 2 intensive workshop sessions in classroom sessions. One is in Pune on 13th and 14th May 2017, and in Mumbai it is on 20th and 21st May. This is a workshop series, and this will give you complete in-depth exposure and hands-on practice on effective persuasive proposal writing. Okay, so we'll first go for a poll.
So this poll is just to understand overall audience background, and also to have our interaction in a better way, in the sense of your current functional role. So on your screen you can see the poll screen. You have to just, this poll is open for next 5 to 10 seconds. So almost 41%, 50% people have voted current now. So I would request everyone to respond to the poll. Okay. So are you part of the team acting as a pre-sales architect, estimators or project managers? So 100% the audience have rated for yes. So it's good to start. So with this we'll go for the next poll. Are you part of team developing response to RFP, RFI and RFQs? 83% people have rated for yes.
Yeah, 80-20.
So good to start. We'll now start the next.
Okay, thank you very much. So it seems that the audience is exactly, Nikhil, is what we intend to have.
Right, right.
And we have right forum for today. Our first webinar is Project Success Foundation. Now, in the recent survey done of the projects, it is found that 1 out of 6 IT projects has an average cost overrun of 200% and schedule overrun of a 70%. And as per IBM study, 40% projects meet the budget, only 40% meets the budget, schedule and quality goals. Now, I know just now itself, you may not be agreeing to me. These surveys are good for global, but it may not be good or it may not be representing the position of your organization. But still, why this failure rate is high and what is the definition of a success? So first and foremost, the success definition itself varies. You know, if it is if it is a time and material project, many of you may be working on this time and material projects. The success is dependent upon providing resources right time, managing the gross margin or a contribution margin, and sometimes it is providing or improving productivity year on year. Now, if you achieve as a project manager all these three, the project is said to be successful. Now, please note that your success or your promotion success is dependent upon the project success. Therefore, both are equivalent. The more successful projects that you handle, the more your chances of career growth will be there. Now, if it is time and material, it is fairly simple, and you probably must be achieving it, this successful completion of a time and material projects. I'm going to discuss but different scenarios in which the demanding things, the projects become much more demanding, and therefore the success also becomes much more higher, and therefore your entry to the higher management areas like solution architecting, delivery manager and above becomes much more ensured. Your position in the organization becomes much more prominent. Now, the next scenario that I would like to touch upon is a fixed bid projects. In a fixed bid projects, first and foremost, you have to manage the scope. Scope creep should not happen. Change management has to be there. On-time delivery need to be done. Effort should happen within a budget. Managing the contribution margin, and last but very important, creating a reference by delighting customer is a very important aspect. So essential idea is that a fixed bid projects are much more complex to handle as compared to time and material. But if it is in-house project, it doesn't stop there itself. Besides doing all that we talked about fixed bid project, the in-house IT department project or the IT department which is responsible for the end users, they have to not only match all this, but they have to also consider the business goals. Unless you have achieved the business goals. Now the business goals could be reduction of inventory, increasing the marketing share, cost control, or any other business goal that the system has. So unless that IT department, in-house IT department achieves that business goals, it is not a successful project. And the survey that I have showed is normally for those types of in-house projects, because there where it is matters the most, that it is not, it is the achievement of the business goal is the ultimate success criteria. So let's see, there are three scenarios. One is time and material projects where most of us work. Second is fixed price projects, and third is in-house project. Increasingly complex, increasingly demanding, but increasingly more successful, and your share of the top management view and the share of your promotion goes much more higher. I would like to also bring some more points here, that the IT projects typically are quite a variety, and that is where it becomes challenging. We have bespoke development projects, application maintenance, production support, sometimes product implementation, re-engineering, porting, migrating, integration, the data warehousing ETL projects, analytics projects, testing only projects. So a huge variety of projects, and all these types of projects on different platforms such as Unix, mainframe, Windows and all that, different technologies, Java, .NET, Oracle, SAP, and different application domains such as finance, automobile, and so on and so forth. The variety brings a whole lot of a complexity, and to the top of it, the rapid technology change, the collaboration challenges, and methodology evolutions, all of them add fuel to fire. So in a way, we see there is a very challenging scenario that is coming into picture for the projects to become successful, and that could be a reason for the dismal performance. So before I proceed, Nikhil has one more poll questions to you, and then we will come back.
So this particular poll is to just understand more about yourself and to keep the interaction mode on. on your screen, next question is, what is your overall work experience? So you can now respond to this poll. Okay, that's pretty great. 78% of the people are about 10 years of experience. So next particular poll is about your functional role, which will also now help us to understand about the functional role which you are currently uh, playing for your organization. Okay, so 45% people belongs to project management community.
7% architects.
Okay, 11% architects, 20% pre-sales. Okay, that's great. So we'll move to the next slide now.
Yeah. So that's great. I mean, so today we are lucky to have the right audience, Nikhil. Uh, Now, having explained some challenges and varieties and complexity of the typical IT projects, let me go into what are the success definition. Because, you know, it depends upon what your success definition is. That tells you whether you are successful or not. But besides that, that tells you how much you are getting out of it. So the first and foremost, all successful projects have to be on time and within effort budgets, no two doubts. And for that to happen, we really require to see that the scope definitions are clear, the realistic estimations are done, right skilled resources as per the plan are available, change management processes, and this is one of the most important thing. Change management process is available, is in place or is effectively used. Right environments are available: development environment, test environment, staging environments. Right type of tools are also available. Now, all these are essential for we to do on time within budget project. But my question is, when do we define this project success need? I will keep on repeating this question, and this is I'm going to answer in next. But keep note that all these are useful needs. The point is, when do we really define this project success needs? That is a very important part of it. Now, now, besides having done on time within budget, we have to meet or exceed the customer expectations. Here, when I am referring all the outsourced projects. Typically, the people, I mean, all those attendees today, those who have joined today, will be working on outsourced project, and I am not referring here in-house IT department projects. Now, we have certain expectations from the customer, whether formally written in the contract or whether informally agreed by our sales guys or by yourself in the discussions with the customer, whether on site or in the teleconferences, you do commit something, and those expectations, whether we are meeting or exceeding, also is an important parameter of our project success. Now, if that is to happen, all that we discuss about on time within budget requirements or needs, we should have all those needs clearly available. But besides that, we also need to have a very clear idea what are the business and IT goals are. Many a times in the RFPs and in subsequent discussions also, the business and IT goals are not very clearly defined. Requirements is another major problem. Requirements either are not clear or evolve throughout the project. There are lot many changes that come at a last minute, and that could be a challenging problem. Sometimes the technology and architectural stability is a problem, but the more than problem, technology and architecture stability is one of the needs. The requirements are clear and under the change management scope is one of the needs. We also require a very important collaboration or very nice collaboration from all the stakeholders involved, and that are success needs. If we are to succeed in terms of meeting and exceeding the customer expectation, then all that is required for on-time within budget projects plus all that I just now discussed is very important. So the next is net promoter score greater than 8. Now this particular thing is if your customer is happy, whether the customer is ready to give a reference of yours to other customer. Now there are two types of customers that will come into. So for example, you are working for a multinational or a big customer, and you are have a very successful project done for a given buying center. Now whether that manager's buying center is ready to give reference to other buying centers within that customer, that is called as internal reference. And when the customer is ready to give reference, positive reference on your way of working, on your on your capabilities, then for the external customer, to the other customers, then it is a external reference. Now, the net promoter score, it is in the scale of 1 to 10, and if it is 8 and above, that means your customer, current customer, is ready to go out of way and putting his or her prestige behind you to give a reference. And that is a very clear sign of how successful you are. And that to happen, you have all those conditions that I mentioned above, but beyond that, you will require a very innovative solution. Your value adds should be clearly visible to the customer. Your communication with the customer, it's a very important part of a project management and successful project execution. Your account management also plays a very important role. Again, my question is, when we define this, when can we define this? Now the next criteria, the first three that I have defined is more in terms of organizational success criteria. Now next two I'm going to talk about is about personal. Why I'm saying personal, it is not that the organization does not want to work on up value chain and new technology work, but beyond the organization's desire to work up value chain or in new technology, it is individuals also who are very much happy to work on such a type of a project. Because while working on this up value chain, when I say up value chain, it is like working not just for system design below, that means coding, testing, documentation, but working for designing technical architecture, solution architecture, business analysis, program management. All those are up value chain activities. If we can do that, we will be much more successful, and our career will bloom. We will have a much more larger role and opening at up above the in the organization, in your own organization. Uh, in order to happen this, I mean, in order for you to have working on the value chain, the demands, of course, of all those we discussed earlier in the past, first three are definitely required. But beyond that, you will also require to convince your customer your capability of working in this new technology or working in the solution architecture or technical architecture or requirements engineering space. Your capability demonstration plays a very important role, and that's one of the need for it. So it is important to note that while it is your career growth enabler, the up value chain working is your career growth enabler, your ability to get such a type of a projects is quite dependent upon how much you can demonstrate your capabilities on working on that. And of course, all that is required for on time, within budget, meets or exceed customer expectation, net promoter score, all this plays also an equally important role. Point is, when do we demonstrate our abilities? It is a question that again I have not answered, but please note that when do we demonstrate that we have a capability, we have all that skill and competencies, we have all that reusable architects architectures, frameworks, components, and all that is required uh, in in uh, in attending this, in showing the demonstrating the capability. Now, okay. Now the last important thing is, and this is to me, it's completely personal, that can we enhance our work-life balance? Many a times, you know, even if the estimations were uh, very optimistic, still the projects do achieve the contribution margin targets. It happens simply because you and your team spend a lot of evening time, Saturdays and Sundays, and in turn is actually impacting your work-life balance. In fact, I have seen your photos in your family albums are already fading up if you are 10 years plus experience. You are not getting your valuable time for your personal hobbies, or the time in the gym, or time for learning some new skills and new areas. There are various impacts of this work-life off balance, and that happens simply because not only all the challenges that I have discussed, but more prominently the estimations are very optimistic. Further negotiations are done very hard. Requirements keep on evolving. Change management is sometimes challenging. Change management of the requirements is challenging. And then comes a situation where you start eating up your personal time for the project success. It is nice from the organization point of view, but it is at the same moment at the cost of your own personal work-life balance. Again, the question is, when, why, how do we, I mean, do we pay by nose because of this sins that we have done at a proposal stage? If we have done very optimistic estimation, if we have succumbed to hard negotiations from our customers, if we are not so clear about the requirements, and on the top of the requirement changes are happening, all these types of challenges are there, and you have accepted the project, it will be a challenging project. You will make it successful, but at the cost of work-life balance. So the question is, all this, when we can really address for? When can we see that we can do a right preparation for on-time within budget projects? When we can really place a right type of a conditions to meet or exceed customers' expectation? How we can ensure that our net promoter score goes more than 8? How we can show our capabilities of our up value chain and new technology work. And last but not the least, how can we still ensure that our work-life balance is maintained? And that is where the major $1 million question that I'm going to answer down the line. But before that, I think, yeah, so we'll continue on that. Let me just check how I'm doing on the time. So, so my idea, and this is probably quite obvious. However, these are the 5 important pillars, 5 important cornerstones with the help of which we can achieve the success. First and foremost, scoping the work. Now, scope of a particular project is defined at the proposal time, the conceptualization of the project. To me, the scope is in 2 areas. The functional scope, the number of systems, subsystems, modules you work on, whether you are going to develop or maintain or production support or implement. These are functional scope. And activity scope, what type of activities that are in store for you in that particular project. For example, you are supposed to develop technical architecture. However, requirements are defined by the customer. The design, development, unit testing, system testing is done by you. And in the UAT, that is user acceptance testing, you have the customer doing that with your support on. So this is activity scope. many of the time the scopes are not so well clearly defined, and particularly I have seen most of the time out of scopes activities and functional things are not mentioned. This is one of the important aspects of achieving the success. You should know the boundaries very well, not only from the point of view that you know clearly what to work on, but also without having a clear boundaries, you will not be able to do the change management properly. If the boundaries are diffused, then all the changes are are negotiated or pushed on your lap, and you keep on accepting all that work because the boundaries is not defined. Besides that, the scope also helps you in knowing what type of skills are required. It also will help you in doing right type of estimations, and your resource ramp up, ramp down can be decided based on the scope of the work that you have. So what type of and what skill and what experience level of people are will require right from the beginning of the project to the end. There will be not all in one go. There will be resource ramp up and ramp down. So unless you have managed the resource ramp up, ramp down and proper skills, you will not be able to achieve the both the contribution margin targets as well as the demands of the project. And that is the important part. That's why the scope of a work is a very important aspect. The second, having done the scope properly, the estimations are required to be done. Now please note, estimations at the proposal stage are easier said but not done so well, simply because we do not have all the sizing inputs that are required. We do not have established methodologies at times, and I'm not saying in all your organizations, but at times I have seen methodology for estimations are not so established. We do not have a tools with a necessary history estimation history database which will allow us to do estimations with the help of analogy or other techniques. When in the initial stage, when the requirements are not so very clear and sizing inputs are not so much defined, and you are still to do estimation, the best method is the analogy method. But if you do not have a tool with a equipped with history database, you will not be able to do that. And that is why I am saying that many times estimation at the proposal stage is a complex thing. Besides that, I have seen the nice looking spreadsheet which are used normally for estimation do not cater for risk-based estimation because there are several risks that can come into picture for the in the actual project execution, and those are not really being taken care of. As well as you know, there are several factors which impact the estimation, and when I say estimation, it is not only effort estimation, the duration, the project resource ramp up, ramp downs, the defect prediction, all this is required to be estimated, and that is the realistic estimation. Sum total or result estimation is arrived at a proposal stage with minimum inputs. So it's a paradox, you know, the estimation is the most critical decision, not only from the customer's point of view, but your negotiation and all the success criteria that I was talking about is quite dependent upon scoping the work and having a right realistic estimation. And that is the uh, important decision that is taken with a minimum inputs. But if you have mature methodologies, you should be able to do that. Okay. Please note, both scoping of the work and doing the realistic estimation is most critical at the proposal stage, and therefore achieving the project success is, and not just winning, but laying a right foundation for the project success is quite dependent on scoping the work and estimating realistically. Beyond that, at the initial stage itself, developing the most suitable solution is also important. If you are, if you have right functional requirements, many times they are not, but if you have a right experience in that particular domain, then you can have a very clear idea of what customers' expectations are. With proper discussions with the stakeholders, the business and IT goals can be defined. non-functional requirements can be characterized. Architecture, both solution and technical architectures can be worked upon. All these are a very important part when you are describing your solution within the proposal. That is where you are conceptualizing, and your solution is your chief differentiator. Your solution is your chief, is the most winning factor. With the help of right solutioning, you can increase your success rate very high. Also, you can increase your not only winning chance very high, but your project success rate also can go substantially higher. Last two factors are obvious. Managing the changes and managing the risk are equally important from a point of view of a successful project. Uh, I discussed about scope boundaries and the resultant, if they are diffused, then the resultant inability of the changes. But many a times I have seen that besides that, the contracts or SOWs are not clearly mentioning what the change management process will be followed. At the proposal stage itself, we are not mentioning what change management we are suggesting for this particular project. So if we are really not so clearly defining the change management process at this early stage, we are definitely going to be in problems down the line. Risk, many times risks are listed, identified, but the mitigation plans and handling plans are not ready. Note that, when you are giving a right risk management plan within your proposal, it not only shows your project management maturity, but it also demonstrates that you have handled these similar types of engagement, similar types of complex projects, and that is one of the ways in which the customer is judging your capability. If you have handled a similar size and complexity project in a given domain, then you definitely have a good knowledge of what risks come in and how to handle them. And if you can give that risk management plan properly, the customer will see your capability very high. So this is what really all 5 important foundation stones are. Yeah, cool. Yes. Okay. So before I switch over to next slide, Nikhil has one more poll question coming up.
So going by the current overall tips on the or rather overall project success details, honestly the next poll is about, are you one of them who want to sharpen their technical as well as manager skills in proposal writing in pre-sale process? Okay, only 30% people have rated. We'll wait for another 2-3 seconds more. Okay, so almost 100% audience is going for yes. So with this, we'll go for last poll, which will help us to know your current location. Okay, so 74% people are for Pune, 19% people are for Mumbai. That's a great number. So we'll move to the next part of the session.
So thanks, Nikhil. So that's a, so my mind is that we really take care of all these 5 important aspects at the proposal stage. I am not stating here that once the proposal is done properly, that means the project will be managed perfectly. No, not that way. But the proposal and the adjoining and the accompanying contract actually lays the foundation for the project manager to become successful by means of right type of scoring, giving enough amount of effort and time budgets, suggesting a right type of a solution, establishing change management process, and managing or giving a proper risk management plan. So, so therefore, we believe and we have often experienced that the work that the teams do at the proposal stage is actually not just helping them for winning the deals, but helps them laying down the right foundation that is required for the project success. However, how typically RFP responses are prepared, and I am saying not always, many a times, and in my third seminar, I will cover more aspects of it. But however, this is where you are reactive or you are reacting to an RFP. You'll ask me what do I mean by reacting an RFP. RFP is request for proposal. And when I say reacting, that means uh, there are earlier stages before the RFP is prepared. There are several times vendors nowadays are getting involved in helping the customers defining their problem, defining the business goals, scoping the vendor side, the customer side estimation, and preparing the RFP. Now that is a much more proactive or much more elaborate and much more matured mechanisms that come into picture. In our third webinar, we are going to cover the topics such as account management or key account management, capture planning in depth to give you an idea about what these methodologies are and how do they really help you in winning the large and complex deals. But this is where most of the time when you have received an RFP from your sales guy and for some vague reason there is a Friday rule of an RFP. Most of the time RFPs are received on Friday afternoon and the sales guy has a strategic reason to respond back to the customer by Monday and Tuesday, and you are hurriedly working on again eating away your work-life balance, your Saturdays, Sundays. You go on working a lot on that. You first do your RFP analysis. I've seen many times people read the RFP and many people may read it many times, that type of, and make some remarks in the columns. However, that's not an RFP analysis. Will cover that in the workshop much better. The problems are not defined in the RFPs. It is not accident, it is by design. None of your customers would like to define their real pains and problems in the RFPs. They will give an overview of it, but not a clear definition of it. It is simply because they do not want to educate their competitors and investors about their limitations, about their weaknesses, and that is one of the major problems that come into picture. And therefore you do a lot of assumptions. Then you do what I call as a solution sketching. At a high level you think that this is how it will work. Even if you are doing time and material resource supply type of a proposal, still you have to provide a solution of how the resource mobilization will be done, how the attrition cases will be handled, how knowledge transfer will be managed, and so on and so forth. So even the simple time and material resource supply solution itself requires a good amount of thinking. But if it is a good technology architecture or a solution architecture type of thing, you will require to a lot much more. And the given crush time, it will not be possible. Then you will have estimations done. I normally call those estimations done with lot of assumptions. So you go back with the queries about scope, about changes, about technologies, and many times either the customer or our sales guy says that, please assume right and do the estimation. Give me a budgetary quote. I will not, hold you by that. But however, you have to do the estimation. So this estimation done with lot of assumption is nothing but guesstimate. And then you develop the solution using the old proposal or other contents. You probably have done similar type of work earlier, and you pick up old proposal contents and try to formulate the solution. The proposal writing also happens with the help of a content either from a whole proposal or intranet site, and then therefore lot of reuse of the content happen. However, it is unsystematic, and it itself causes a lot of problems. Sometimes as severe a problem as old customers name being just slipped into, or wrong representation of your own company happening because it's an old picture that is coming from the old proposal. So that those types of a problem normally walk into picture. And then you defend the proposal, you present it, the customer visit happens, it raises high hopes, then further hard negotiations are happening. Our sales guys sometimes negotiate much harder. You still win. I mean, you win the projects. The celebration party is done, and then I say hard time begins. That is what normal scenarios are. Probably I have painted too much of pessimistic picture. However, I have seen many times this is happening. If it is not happening at your end, very nice. But if it is happening, then there is a need to reflect upon that, and that is what the subject of our next webinar is 7 scenes committed at the proposal time, and it will give you a much more in-depth idea of where we make big mistakes while writing the proposals. So therefore, in sum total, and at the last, I would like to state that effective proposal not only enhances the win ratio, but increases the project succession foundation. The project is laid on a proper foundation. Not only the organizational objectives are achieved in terms of top line contribution margin, up value chain working, but also it helps you in getting an opportunity to enhance your career, riding on your career acceleration, and also achieving work-life balance. So that's all I wanted to share at this moment. Uh, I think we are well within the time. So 4:20, that means we have another 10 minutes available. Thank you very much for patiently listening me. Here is my contact, dilip.gonde@seedinfotech. And if you have any other queries,
You can type in now and also share over the email. So we would open this question answer session now for next 10 minutes. So, okay. Okay, we have question.
I'll read out an answer. Who should work on crafting the proposal? Should different people work together, or they work individually and then collaborate together? Very nice question. Most of the time, proposal is developed by a team. In many of the organization, the pre-sales group or win center, whatever the name may be, leads the proposal development activity. That means they are sort of a bid manager. They plan entirely based on the due date of a proposal submission, and then they involve necessary people. And when I say necessary, it will be most of the time delivery people. They will be solution architects, they will be estimators, they will be technical architects, they will be resource managers, they will be domain experts and all those. So many people work together and it's a collaborative game. Essentially, it's a nice question that, we have identified that the proposal development is a collaborative game and needs to be properly planned. I have also seen many a times proposal or the pre-sales team developing a template of the response and putting the section ownerships by putting people's name on it. Each individual section owner, let's say solution architect, works on the solution part of it, write that, and all that content is collated by the bid management or pre-sales team, and then ultimately it is reviewed by the various review managers. So that is how it works out. To know more about it, from the entire collaboration game from it, I will request you to attend our in-depth workshop. Does solution architect consolidate the proposal, or technical writer should do this, mainly from language point of view? Very nice question again. I think consolidation is normally done by the technical writer, as you are saying, but normally they are called as pre-sales team members. They normally do it. But besides that, you have brought another question called as a language, and we will talk in depth about the language of success in the workshops. What type of English that should be utilized, active passive voice, usage of acronyms, yes or no, and various aspects of that language, as well as the considerations about the readability, graphics, and so on and so forth. So it's a complete persuasive game. Pre-sales teams are well trained for that, and you will get a lot of insight in terms of this persuasive writing in the workshop. But yes, it is a very important question. I have seen many of times it's again a collaboration mainly led by the pre-sales team, but we should, as a solution architects and DBAs and others, should also equally play our role in it.
Okay. So we have question from, the next question is from Umesh. What is covered in the classroom training?
Okay. Now, what is covered in classroom training? I think we will publish on our site a detailed course content, but let me give you a quick idea of that. We start with, and it's a complete workshop-based approach. That means it is not just presentation only and go back. It is completely team-based working in the workshop. We start with how to analyze RFP. Many a times this subject has not been dealt properly. Reading RFP 10 times does not really analyze how to do that analysis. We start with that. Then we cover what is bid, no bid. That means should we go for every situation, yes or no. Then we will explain what is the concept of executive summary development, how proposals are structured. Then we also explain how solutions needs to be described. We also cover what is called as we also cover how to really organize this entire content using a proper template and structure. And within that, the language of success, the whole thing that I covered earlier. Then we go down to how reviews are happening, and we briefly cover some aspects of proposal stage estimation, risk management, and financial models. However, each one of them are the topics of our advanced classes. At the moment, we just give in the class, currently proposed the basic class, we just cover the introduction to these topics. So that is generally what we cover. We will soon be declaring on the site the detailed content structure, the course structure.
So next question is from Ashutosh Das. Is it necessary that pre-sales person should know the solution for RFI?
Okay. Normally RFI stands for request for information. Uh, Therefore, there is nothing solutioning in it. Request for information is to know for your organization. But I believe you are actually meaning RFP, request for proposal, wherein the customer expects you to give the solution. I don't think that the pre-sales person will know about the solutioning because it is many a times a technology question. The solution architects, technical architects, and DBAs and other technical people like user experience experts come into picture for building up the solution. It depends upon the size and complexity of the problem at your end.
So next question from Sagar is, how can we learn from the proposal that has failed to win the projects? As we may not have the winning proposal was offering to the client, how can we introspect to improve our proposal?
Very nice question. So answering Sagar's question, uh, the one of the important process at the closure of the proposal as a project is called as win-loss analysis. Uh, Many times the customers do debriefing to the customer to the vendors who have lost the opportunity. uh, it is attended most of the time our sales guys, but if chance may be, I think delivery people should also attend it, either in person or by means of telephone call. Here you get a lot of insight why the customer has not selected us. But beyond that, you know, if you will be attending the classes and start improving the competency of proposal writing, you will have a lot of insight of why your proposal was not good. And we teach various patterns that will help you in understanding how exactly to get the insight of the proposal. This is useful not only at the review time, but this will be also useful for you at the win-loss analysis time, that you analyze your proposal and see whether what was the missing links, where probably you have not made a good point, whether you have failed to give the solution properly, whether you have failed to give your failed to demonstrate your capabilities, is what you will be able to do with the help of techniques that we explain and get you practicing in your proposal workshop that you will join with us.
Right. So next couple of questions are like, how much is the fee for the classroom session? Yes. So we'll be definitely uploading all the details and also sharing with each and every basically attendees. We have your registered email IDs with us. So pricing and also the course curriculum or outline will be shared by this week. That is definitely for sure. And there's another good question from Mr. Avinash and also Arjit Gupta. So we'll answer first Avinash's question. Does solution architect consolidate the proposal or technical writer should do this?
And this we have done.
So we have, I think, answered this question. So
how easy the
the next, okay, the another question is, how easy or difficult is it for responding to RFP and RFI for the first time? What are the hurdles one usually faces in such a scenario?
Very nice question. I mean, and this is the very reason why you should join us in our workshop.
Right.
If you are first time going into it, you need to know the tricks of the trade. You need to know the techniques that are involved in it. You need to know the art of a persuasion. You need to know the language that should be utilized. And if you want to learn all of this, then the proposal writing first time will not become very difficult, and you will be very confidently working on it. That does not mean that only by attending proposal workshop you will be mastered. Of course, years of experience brings on much more expertise in this area. But the journey of 1,000 miles will start with the first step by attending our workshop.
Correct. So rightly, we also mentioned at the beginning of the session that during some of the surveys and readings, it has been observed that there is a skill gap study. So most of the people they did not have any chance to attend any formal or structured training for proposal writing. And with the help of Dilip sir, we were able to design such a wonderful program which will address most of the time value part of the proposal instead of the formatting or the cosmetic part of the proposal. So that will definitely be helpful for each and every stakeholder who is part of the project.
We have exceeded 2 minutes of but I have last question again coming from Avinash, being very interesting. I'll just quickly cover it. How how your solution will be differentiator in case of COTS product solution like Office 365, as these are standard offering. What makes difference in your approach and pricing? Very nice. So the standard technology per se will not give you a differentiator. That is right, because Office 365 is available to each one of you as a vendor. But the way you are using it, the methodology that you propose, the how you will develop a solution based using that technology to address to the question, the problems of the customer. Here what we explain the concept called as win theme and competition analysis methodology in our workshop, wherein the customer's value expectations, how to map them with solution elements and differentiators you will be able to do, and that really is really the most critical part of the entire workshop which you should be learning, and this will address the question which Avinash is asking. But for that to get real clear understanding, you really require to not only attend next two webinars, but also be in classroom sessions of ours. Okay, so that's all.
So hope we are able to answer most of the questions now. So considering the attention span and also your time, we will now end up this session, and we would definitely like to uh, interact with you for the next session, which is planned on exactly next Friday. The timing will be 3:30, and subject is seven effective writing, effective 7 scenes of effective proposal writing. So till that, thank you and have a nice time. If you have any queries, you can definitely write it over to Dilip sir. We have mentioned his email ID, and if you are not able to write, or send any email, you can definitely SMS proposal for on our helpline. So we will be definitely able to share information related to your queries.
Also, contact details are available on our site.
Right. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Yes.